strange to be putting a video up at this time, but I have just seen something that I felt was worth investigating, if you like. Strangely enough, I have just seen a little short of a podcaster, I think she was called Mady Maio, who has coined a new thing to help with anxiety. That thing is called silent walking. Brace yourselves, this one's going to blow your mind. So, what is silent walking? Silent walking is the act of going outside for a walk without your mobile phone, without music, without any electrical devices. Just you going outside in the big wide world, walking around and just hearing the natural sounds. I don't know whether to laugh or cry about that, because it seems to me that it's a very strange thing to claim to have coined, to give a name to basically almost claim that you invented going for a walk. And apparently it's a massive trend on TikTok. Loads of people have started silent walking. Loads of people have started to go out for a walk without devices. And I suppose it makes you think, doesn't it? Like how much the world has changed. Because if you're like me, you're an 80s kid. And as an 80s kid, we were able to go outside into the big wide world and just do loads of stuff and experience loads of different things. And it's weird to think that realistically the 80s weren't 10 years ago. You know, the 90s weren't even 10 years ago. That's how wild it feels. But for somebody in modern society to be able to claim they've invented this thing to help with their anxiety is mind-blowing. Now, if you've been following my story, you know that I've tried to go for a walk every day, and it's one thing that I have been very successful with doing, and it has helped, definitely, with my mindset. But I wouldn't say that it's a trend. I wouldn't say that, you know, if it wasn't for a random influencer, I would never have thought about it. There's a lot of science behind it. And if you look in the right places, you can see, you know, the goodness that is spoke about that kind of thing, which relates to just being outside in general and exercise in general and how it all ties in. But for somebody to be able to claim they started a trend of going outside for a walk and listening to the environment, it's kind of mind-blowing, really. And I think it blows my mind more maybe because I'm from the countryside. Like, we often spend time without electrical devices. We often spend time outside because it's just where things are. You know, you're surrounded by agricultural land and farms and stuff. You can hear all the animals. You can smell all the smells. And I know for a fact that I prefer the countryside over a city. And I would rather be in the countryside around that air than in a city surrounded by smog and just busyness. And I suppose there's people in the city who would spin that the other way around and they enjoy the city because of what the city offers versus the emptiness of the countryside. But, you know, the whole idea was that you didn't even need to be in any particular place. You could just go outside without any devices and just listen. And the small little snippet that I heard, I won't lie, I've done what, you know, rule 1, don't do this, don't read the headline and nothing else. I kind of, you know, I've done that. I've seen one tiny little snippet on it. My mind was blown. I thought, I need to just spread the word on this. Such a phenomenal thing. I can't believe nobody has ever thought about it before. But apparently, the woman said that she was worried about her anxiety. You know, it was going to be her anxiety that stopped her leaving the house without a phone. Or it would be her anxiety that stopped her just going outside and walking without any music. How was she going to cope? And that in itself is like really something to chew on. If a person's got so much anxiety, that there is such a fear almost of being without their phone. Does that not show you how dependent some people are becoming on these devices? And I suppose, speaking from an older person's perspective, it is something that we've seen happening. And as the next generation comes through, you realise how much more time they're spending on their devices compared to the previous generation. And I know for myself and like people of my age, is something we've noticed about the kids of today, how much they're spending time on their devices. And for me, all I've got to do is take a walk down my local park. Half of the play equipment is gone. Even football goals. There used to be about 6 different pitches down there. People used to be able to play football. Now there's only one set of goalposts. Not even a set, it's not even a pair, it's just one individual goalpost, and it's a small size. So, if you're a teenager, or, even if you're a bit older, sometimes, people in their 20s, 30s want to go spend some time with their mates one day, and there's no full-size football goals anymore. It's just this tiny little, kind of like a 5-a-side set. A lot of the climbing equipment is all gone, and the facilities for kids to go out and spend time outside just aren't there anymore. And it's like the chicken and the egg of what came first. Is, did they start playing on the devices more and that's why the equipment got took away? Or did the equipment get took away, therefore they spent more time indoors? It's kind of weird, but yeah, it kind of, I won't lie, kind of frazzled me a bit to hear that a podcaster has invented silent walking, to walk without any devices to help with their anxiety. And it kind of, in a way, makes you think, okay, so what other normal, average, everyday things does a lot of people do that we can just suddenly start to decide, let's make it a trend, let's turn this into something and make it really trendy, get everybody doing it. What kind of terms can we start coining? Can we have things like pumping gas, or, you know what I mean? Just really simply, not insignificant things, but I would argue almost obvious to some extent. I mean, it's not obvious that, do this will help your mental health, that kind of thing, but it is obvious in terms of spend some time outside away from your devices and you'll feel a lot better. I mean, you do see a lot of videos about people who had like a social media detox or this kind of thing. So if you just apply the things, doing exercise is good for my health. Detoxing from social media is good for my health. But if I combine the two and do exercise without social media, maybe I'll feel good. Let's try silent walking. I don't know. It is genuinely interesting that it's something that's become a trend. I will say this though, probably one of the better trends. As much as we can faff about it and question how strange it is, would you rather a trend of eating Tide Pods or a trend of going out for a walk, leaving your devices at home? I think it's a no-brainer really of which one's potentially a lot better for everybody. I don't know. It genuinely does surprise me how, and I suppose a lot of people would have seen a similar thing. Have you noticed how the generation that are like the teens in their 20s now are coming up with new inventions that we've already had, thinking that they've done a thing? And it's amazing how in, let's say, 30 years, such a disconnect between history and the present day, where the present day people can invent stuff from times gone by and think they've invented a completely new thing. Genuinely, that is something that incredibly blows my mind. Oh, like the sailing ships. Have you seen that? A way to get ships across the big oceans using less fossil fuels. Let's try putting these new, I can't remember what they called them, putting these new, canvases on them. And all they've ended up doing is designing a sail ship. I don't know. I just thought I'd share that with you. It's something that I've literally just discovered right now, so I thought, I bet there's a few people out there who will enjoy this. Take it easy, guys. Hope to see you again.